Hey everybody, welcome back once again to the PCS. This time it's the world's prediction show. It's been a little while. We hope you've been well. I'm PiraTechnics and he is Nit3Star, and we are getting ready to get underway. Nit3Star, we've got all our teams locked in for Worlds. It's just a matter of days away. I cannot wait. Is there any team that maybe you've got your eye on? Anybody you're really keeping special attention on?
Wow, what do you know? I think I've got my eyes on Mega Bank Beyond Gaming. The
Shocker.
boys, they're playing in the play-in stage. It's going to be hype. Doggo back on the international stage. He's going to take some names. No doubt about it.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see how this squad really just takes it to the international stage, and maybe they can go even farther than the plans. We'll have to see. And it's a good thing you mentioned that, Nicer, because we are going to go ahead and bring up our play-in stage teams to kind of go down the line and give our predictions to see who is going to make it. But let's kick things off with our just overall impressions. Looking between the two groups, who do you think is the stronger one?
Yeah, I definitely think as far as which group is a little bit more balanced and more competitive overall, I would say Group B is a little bit more dangerous just because you have a little bit more pedigree. You also have just all the teams that are in that group. You can make a contention that they could make things interesting for a lot of the teams in Group A, whereas Group A, I feel like it's pretty cut and dry. It's LNG, it's Hama Life. Maybe Peace can throw a little bit of spice, but eh, I'm not expecting too much.
I very much agree with you on that one. LNG is most likely the team to make it out without really, honestly, getting a scratch on them. Hanma Life, I think this is a strong team as long as they just really trust in their mid laner. Let everybody get in the Chovy backpack and make the plays. But it's interesting you mentioned Peace, right? Because while we are looking
Mhm.
at this Group A, this is a team that had to make a swap and had to bring in a top laner that a lot of people will remember. Visit Chachi, who has already announced that he's coming out of retirement, is going to play with this LCO squad. Do you think that really changes the calculus and how they're going to play?
Yeah, this is a really interesting team for Group A. I think having Chachi in there definitely, you have to build some synergy first off, but at the same time, he's always had a unique champion pool as a top laner. So I think it will be very interesting in how they play around him in particular. And I mean, the man's used to be a professional chess player, so he's got some big brain stuff going on, and it's possible they can make a couple of surprises. But again, I think third is probably the limit of what they're going to get in that group.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. It's just a little bit tough. I mean, LNG is so hard to beat, especially because they have some incredible players. In particular, I'm looking at Tarzan. On the Hanma Life side, I already mentioned Chovy, and I think as long as the team really trusts in him, they shouldn't have too many problems getting out. For Peace, I do think they might have to shift things up a little bit if they do want to rely on Vizicachi, because he traditionally needs a lot of resources, whereas their previous top laner, Oppie, didn't get all that much.
Mhm.
So we'll have to see if they can mix it up for Infinity and Red Canids. I think good luck. Maybe next year we'll have to see. It feels pretty open and shut on that regard.
Yeah, for Infinity, this is a group of veterans, so perhaps with some of that veterancy, they are able to grind out a third in this group. But Red Canids, like as surprising as it was for them to make it to the stage, they don't have any real worlds experience. So this is more of a for I don't want to say for fun experience for them, but it's mostly just to soak up that world's event and atmosphere and then transition that back into their own region.
Right. This is a team that I think not everybody was going to expect to have made it there. They managed to dodge out Pain Gaming, who then got upset in the playoffs over there in Brazil. And, we'll have to see if they're able to maybe beat some expectations, but we don't really expect them to do as much. But we have really given enough time to Group A. Let's go ahead and move on to Group B, because that is where
Mhm.
Megabank Beyond Gaming will reside. And honestly, my impression of this as Nit3Star is that they honestly got a great draw. They were able to dodge out
Mhm.
LNG. I think dodging Hanma Life is also a good one. And Cloud9 could give them a bit of trouble, but I'm not
Mhm.
expecting as much.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 provides, of course, the biggest test to them. just because mechanically they're extremely good. I think they're even better than Mega Bank Beyond Gaming. But the issue is for C9, they have a lot of weird drafts. And I think those draft constraints limit them against a team that's just so consistent in Beyond Gaming. You know what you're going to get game in and game out to a pretty certain degree here. And the rest of this group, DFM, definitely very interesting team because they are a powerhouse in their region. Very, very good. And they also have the skill to take it to a Beyond Gaming or a C9. I'm not sure if it's enough, but we did see them perform to surprise people at MSI. Hopefully, they continue to bring in that surprise factor here. But UOL and Galactusarray, these are two teams I don't have a ton of hopes for. I talked with someone who watches a lot of LCL. UOL, they're too dependent on their mid laner to carry, and unfortunately, they don't get a lot of contributions from that bottom lane. And in this group, I think this is going to be a bot lane heavy meta.
I agree with you. And Unicorns of Love, they're also bringing like kind of the same squad that we saw last year. Really only their bot laner has changed. And I don't think that really inspires a lot of confidence considering what happened in last year's Worlds. For Galatasaray, you know, we've seen crazy around a little bit. I think there is some potential for this squad, but I think you're right that what they do, it's just going to be outclassed by the other teams in this group. DFM is definitely my third seed in this one. I think they can pull out a couple of surprises because they just are a consistently solid team, not only in their own region, but they have impressed at times on the international stage. I'm still waiting for them to level up a little beyond that, but for right now, not really expecting it. And my prediction for this is absolutely Beyond Gaming make it out. They should be the number one seed. If they make it out at number two, I'm not entirely surprised, but I really think that this is a big test for this squad to show that they are at the consistent level that we know they can be when they were taking it to PSG in the semis and the finals of the PCS. And I think they have the talent to see it through. I expect this to be a number one seed making it out of the play-ins.
Yep. I definitely agree there. And for seed number two, C9 is definitely a front runner, but I would also say whichever team is able to claim this second seed should have a very, very good shot of just straight up owning the other team from Group A. Whereas on the flip side, like Hollow Life, if they end up seed two, I actually think there is a world where a C9 or a DFM in that third seed from Group B could potentially upset them and really throw a spanner once we hit that group stage.
Oh, why you got to do my boy Def like that? Now okay, he's not the same AD carry he used to be. I'll admit that, but I think Hama Life does have enough strength, enough overall talent to really avoid that fate. I don't think there's really a world where they don't end up in that second seed position, but I guess we'll have to find out who ends up being right about that. All the same, it does seem like the most likely situation that they end up as the number two. LNG, I mean, if you put all 10 teams in the room and only one was allowed out, it's going to be LNG. This is the fourth seed from China's LPL. They are just incredibly strong across the board, front to back. And honestly, they kind of clawed and scratched their way to all of the accomplishments they've gotten so far. I honestly think this team has it in them to go pretty far overall at Worlds.
Yeah, it's definitely a team that has potential to do some damage in the group stage, but I feel like we've talked a lot about these play-in teams. Is it time to move on to the group stage?
I think it is. Let's go ahead and swap it up and really slot in the teams we expect to win. So before we get really underway with, just looking at the overall groups, let's slot in the teams that we think are going to be making it into the group stages. Looking at Group A, we see that we have a team representing Korea, China, and of course EU. That does mean that is one place that a Beyond Gaming could slot in. The other is Group B. I mean, I'm kind of hoping it's Group B because looking across the board, Group A that's the group of death here. Even Yankos knew it during the group draw once he pulled Rogue out that they were not making it very far.
Yeah, Group A is most certainly the group of death. You could even say a little bit for Group B because it is pretty strong top heavy teams in EDG and T1, but at the same time, like both of these teams have shown hiccups. It's not like these teams are infallible, whereas Damwon Kia and FPX, they are by far and away probably 1 and 2 when it comes to just the world's rankings out of all the teams at World. So it's definitely a tough one to swallow if you're a Rogue fan.
Yeah, that's not going to be very easy for them to really try and overcome, and I don't think many Rogue fans are really kidding themselves on it. Damwon Kia, of course, returning as the champions, have looked, if anything, even stronger, which is terrifying. Showmaker is quite possibly the best player in the world right now, and I think probably one of the only teams that could expect to challenge them is FPX. So this is an incredible clash of titans in that group, and potentially a preview of things to come later on down the line. But this is what happens when you get to kaiju battling. All those little humans need to get out of the way. Like there's no way you're beating these guys. So unfortunately, whoever does find themselves in Group A, it does seem a little bit rough. In terms of slotting in, like we said, Beyond Gaming can possibly do this. Cloud9 could possibly slot into this one as well, as they wouldn't be able to end up in Group B due to 100 Thieves being there, and they wouldn't be able to end up in Group D due to Team Liquid. They could also go into Group C, however. So if we just really quick go down the board before we get into the rest of our groups, let's talk about what we think the most likely scenario is. Beyond Gaming making it out. Well, first off, we know that LNG almost certainly making it through. They should be slotted into Group D because that is the only group that does not have a team representing the LPL. So working our way down the line, that does mean Group C would be a possibility for Cloud9, as does Group A. It would be
Hawa Life. So if Hawa Life make it out, so this is why C9 fans, you are hoping DFM show up and just upset Hawa Life here, because if that happens, Group C is available for the taking for C9, and I would definitely give them a better shot at getting out of groups going into this Group C group rather than Group A. So that's what NA fans are definitely hoping for. I'm hoping for a little bit of spice just in general, but a lot of possibilities do open up if that is the case. But if all the Pool 1 seeds do come out here, you're looking at a Group D for LNG, you're looking at How on Life in Group C. For Group B, it would be Beyond Gaming, and then Group A would be a C9.
Yeah, because C9 could only then be drawn into Group A. So that is the likely scenario. And I think we should probably proceed on that assumption as we are looking at the rest of the groups. But let's move on down the line. Let's talk about Group B right now, because if Group A is the group of death, Group B, it seems like, is the group of near-death experiences at the very least. Both EDG and T1 are pretty scary for different reasons, right? EDG come back and they reclaim the crown of the LPL, and that's always something to watch out for. T1, on the other hand, they kind of looked a little shaky through the split and then pulled a really hard pivot, bringing in new coaching staff and swapping around a little bit with the players and the play styles. Faker gets to play some more of these carries again. And while Faker is, he's lost his title of the world's best player that now belongs to Showmaker, he's still Faker. He's still pretty terrifying to deal with. And, say what you will about 100 Thieves in the NA region as well. They are the best team that region does have to offer, so they shouldn't be pushovers entirely.
100 Thieves are definitely a team that play a much more aggressive style compared to the rest of NA. So that will fit rather well in this group, in my opinion, because you do have EDG who are a little bit slower. They are liable to get surprised a few times more often than not. And T1 are also a team that play pretty hectic. So I think 100 Thieves do slot in well here. It's stylistically not a good time, in my opinion, for Beyond Gaming in this Group B. So if they do land here, I actually think that they probably perform worse in Group B than in Group A, but regardless, it'll be a very tough task for them to get out of either group.
Yeah, it's tough to see Beyond really going a lot farther than this. I mean, I think they can take a game or two off 100 Thieves, but I really have a hard time seeing them doing that against the likes of an EDG who's powered up, or a T1 who is on point. It's not impossible, but it would certainly be very difficult. And just looking across the board, I mean, we already have said in Group A, it's Dom1 Kia, it's FBX. It doesn't matter who's in that group with them; they're going to be making it out of that one. For Group B, it does seem like the same story for EDG and T1. Would you agree with that one, Nit3Star?
Yeah, it should be EDGT1, very legacy titans in the scene. So that should be very exciting. But moving on
Mm-hmm.
into Group C, like this is of course the group we want to talk about the most because it is PSG, a pool 1 seed team, Pyre. We finally did it. And you know what? With this set of teams, I actually feel pretty confident that we will come out of groups. You have them coming out of groups, but I also have them coming out of groups as the 1 seed.
Yeah, this is one of the places where we really differed because I was looking at this, and of course, this is where we expect Hanwha Life to slot in. I don't think that's going to be a huge challenge or a huge difficulty for PSG to overcome. I do think RNG might be a little bit of a problem for this squad. They are looking strong enough. I think this is a squad that can set the likes of PSG on the back foot, particularly at bottom lane, because Ming in the support role is possibly one of the best, if not the best, supports in the LPL. That does mean that PSG probably will have prepared for this a little bit, but even the likes of Unified and Kaiwing, I think, might struggle a little bit here, and the bottom lane could start to get out of hand. Couple that with the fact that we saw a lot of weakness out of Hanabi over the course of two big back-to-back best-of-5 series against Beyond Gaming, and I worry a little bit around the map that it might crumble around Maple. On the other side, I think Fnatic is a much more even and much more winnable matchup. Fnatic is a squad that they've impressed a lot, but I don't necessarily think that the individual skill level is at the same level right now that PSG displayed. So I do think that's a bit more of a toss-up, and I'm giving it to PSG because I really think that Hanwha Life aside, I think it's RNG number 1, PSG number 2 out of this Group C.
Yeah, I have it the reverse where I do think it is going to be PSG taking it, and then RNG taking the 2nd seed. However, if C9 do slot into this group, I think it makes this group a lot more difficult if Hanwha Life do get upset. But this group is very, very messy in my opinion because I think that all of these teams do present their own case for taking the number 1 seed or just getting out of the group in general because they're all very evenly matched.
And they all play a little differently too, right? I mean, if you look at like the side of Fnatic, I was looking at a lot of the bot lane picks that have happened in these different regions. In the LPL, it's very similar to what we've seen in the PCS. A lot of Aphelios, a lot of Varus, a lot of Ezreal. Not so over in the LEC. These guys, especially upset, they're playing things like Xayah, like Tristana, all these hyper carries and whatnot that we saw in the spring split. But, with some stylistic differences, I think it could make for some really interesting matchups. And as you mentioned, Cloud9 does throw a spanner in the works. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the famous Cloud9 Worlds buff. I mean, they're the only NA squad really ever that has accomplished a whole lot on the world stage. They have been able to get past the groups in the past, and and that's on multiple different rosters. So if Cloud9 do make it through and Hanwha Life don't, I mean, this does get a little bit spicy. So while I don't think that's going to happen, Nit3Star, I think in my heart I want it to.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we're kind of trickling down on that time, but Group D, I think we should touch on that real quick. I think Mad Lions, they are by and far away the best team in this group, regardless of who slots in, even LNG coming into this group. This group will be really fun because this will be a group of junglers as the main highlight, because you have Tarzan expected to go in here. You have Klid, a big story name, Elyoya, who has risen, like, skyrocketed in value this year. I believe he's a rookie. Like, he is just insanely good. And even in Team Liquid, you have Santorin, who's such an experienced jungler. Yes, he pales in comparison to the firepower the rest of these names are bringing, but he's definitely no slouch.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting one, but comparing to, what we talked about in Group A and Group B with groups of death, if you will, this does feel like the group of life. Even with LNG going through, Mad Lions look to have, honestly, the best draw they possibly could have at the best possible time. This is a squad that has been building and leveling up, working very quietly, while the likes of a G2 have been a lot more flashy, but of course don't get to make an appearance at this year's World
Mhm.
Championships. For the likes of Mad Lions, everything's coming together at the right moment. Gen G, I don't know how else to say this. I just think they're a mental boom. And Team Liquid have been very hot and cold. I mean, he looks okay in NA overall, but he's having a pretty bad year by his own standards. I really think that Mad look fantastic no matter who slots in fourth. But
Mhm.
if LNG do, they're very easily a number 2 take.
Yeah, I think all three of the other teams not mad are a bit more of a slow, methodical take, and LNG are just the best out of those, in my opinion. So, Mad Lions stylistically just get such a large advantage. We'll see if they run into some roadblocks once group stage actually start up here, but no one really. Uh, it's really everyone's playing for second in Group D. But in general, I think if you're coming out of these groups, like Group A and B are definitely the most fearsome groups to go up against when it comes to the bracket stage.
Absolutely. So just to summarize it, we do have the 8 teams that we do expect to make it out of these groups. In Group A, it should be Damwon Kia and FPX. In Group B, it should be EDG and T1. In Group C, we are absolutely calling it for PSG, but also for RNG. And in Group D, it should be Mad Lions. And if all is expected, we are giving that second spot to LNG of the LPL. So that sums it up for our group stage predictions. But there is one more thing to do, Nightstar, and that's to call who's going to take the whole thing at the end of it all for this World Championship 2021. I'm going to leave the floor to you to really make that prediction. Who do you think is going to be the number 1 team? Who is going to win it all this year?
Man, you're putting me on the spot. You told me you had a spicy pick lined up, so I wanted to hear the spicy take first. But you know what?
You
I
want
see
my
how it is.
spice? You want me to give it to you? I will
Yeah,
take this. If you
yeah.
want it, fine. You're giving it right back to me. You know what? It's the spiciest take is the take that really isn't that spicy at all, because it's going to be Damwon Kia again. They're going to go 2
Oh,
for 2. I think this team is incredibly good. I think Showmaker is the best player in the world. And history shows that when you have the best player on your team, you're probably going to win it all. So I'm giving it to Damwon Kia. Korea's going to go again this year. What do you think, Nightstar? Who are you giving it to?
I actually have FPX. So both
Ooh,
of us picked the
okay.
Group A team. I just think this team is just too strong all around. Their bot lane is better than Damwon Kia's bot lane, even though they are a little bit more volatile. But then you're comparing usually you would say Doinb mechanically hasn't been able to stand the test against some of these more mechanical mid laners, but he has looked phenomenal this year. So I think FPX are in line to really run the gauntlet here. But regardless, it's 2 Group A teams, so Group A is the group to watch.
Absolutely. Well, that is going to do it from us. And don't forget to tune in October 5th as the World 2021 play-in stages commences. That's all for us here from the PCS. For Nightstar, myself, the broadcast team, thank you so much for watching. And well, we'll be seeing you cheering for Beyond Gaming and PSG Talon. See you then.